The primary academic benefit of a K-8 school is that everything in the building is built for K-8 children. It goes way beyond the curriculum. Every educator on campus specializes in working with K-8 students. And because there are no high school age students around, children at K-8 schools tend to look up to their teachers as role models, which allows for much stronger and more impactful student-teacher relationships. All of that creates an environment where students are more focused on and comfortable with the schoolwork in front of them. K-8 schools are incredibly empowering to a young adolescent's developing sense of self. In K-12 schools, the experiences and accomplishments of K-8 students are often minimized. For middle schoolers at K-12 schools, too often every endeavor can feel like practice for high school, the junior version of what the older students are doing. At a K-8 school, 7th and 8th grade students are performing at the school's highest level, and the whole school supports them. You cannot overstate what that does for a child's confidence and sense of self. We don't typically think of middle schoolers as leaders, but they actually have a great capacity to lead, if given the opportunity. By positioning 7th and 8th grade students as the oldest kids in school, we see those students take on leadership roles far earlier than they might in a K-12 environment. In K-12 schools, you might notice middle school children distancing themselves from students in earlier grades, eager to leave behind the little kid stuff and move on to the big kid stuff they observe in high school students. But in K-8 schools, middle school children are the big kids, and there's a profound sense of pride that comes with that position. Rather than distancing themselves from younger students or acquiescing to older students, we see 7th and 8th graders lean into their role as the big kids by teaching and supporting their younger counterparts, both socially and academically. We know that the absence of high school students creates space for middle school students to take on leadership roles. It also removes a bevy of social influences that can put undue pressure on children to grow up before they're ready. Middle school age children have so much to wrestle with as they grow into themselves, physically, emotionally, and intellectually. The added pressure of trying to fit in with or impress older students can be confusing or harmful. The older students at K-8 schools are not embarrassed to play at recess because that's what all the students at their school are doing. They're less concerned with dressing or behaving like high school kids because there aren't any high school students to set those standards. And of course, they don't experience the pressure to engage in some of the more destructive behaviors that often arise in high school. Students from K-8 schools enter high school as graduates and as student leaders. They don't see 9th grade as just the next step in a series of steps they've been taking throughout their academic career. They see it as the beginning of the next phase in their lives, one that marks the transition to young adulthood. And that transition feels particularly earned for children coming from K-8 schools. They've mastered the academic program they came of age in, and they hold the diplomas to prove it. They've researched their options for high schools and completed applications, which can include interviews and written statements, in addition to academic records. Contrast that experience to that of a student who remains in the same school from 8th to 9th grade, and it's apparent how much more eager and prepared K-8 students often are for high school compared to their peers in K-12 environments.